Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that I be allowed to speak for up to 10 minutes, followed by Senators Carper and Schumer for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it's great to be on the floor today. I think we have much to celebrate. We have a lot of tired people, I think, who have devoted a lot of time and energy to this effort. And so after a long week of amendments, it's time to get this done, isn't it, Senator Carper, my chairman on EPW? We've talked all week about how the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act delivers for the American people. And I'm proud that the foundation of this bill, the foundations of this bill, is, as the senator from Ohio just mentioned, is based off of the two very bipartisan, unanimously bipartisan EPW infrastructure bills that we passed in the spring. This historic investment reflects our commitment to keeping America safe, improving our global competitiveness, and growing our economy. So I'm going to go through a few of the highlights because I think they're important for the American people to know exactly what this bill does. It provides $303.5 billion over 5 years for federal highway programs, a 35% increase from the last bill. There is a new $2 billion rural surface transportation grant that will dedicate resources to the Appalachian Development Highway system that runs through many of our states and other critical projects across rural America. Combined, the overall package includes $40 billion in dedicated resources for bridges, the single largest investment in bridge infrastructure since the construction of the interstate system. I'm from a small state, but I got a lot of bridges. And unfortunately, a lot of them are not in the best condition. This will be a monumental improvement in what I see every day in my state. The bill authorizes $35 billion for water projects across the country with a focus on upgrading aging infrastructure. This is the bill that we passed out of our EPW committee. It invests in innovative technologies and provides assistance to rural and low-income communities to help them keep their water safe and clean. This package represents the largest investment in clean drinking water in our nation's history. That's something that I think we can all be proud of. There's funding for broadband, essential to this 21st century economy, education, tourism, healthcare, all the things we've realized that broadband brings us and how important it is for each family and each business to have it. Ports, airports, locks and dams. Funding for the Corps of Engineers will improve our water resource infrastructure, facilitating the movement of goods and mitigating flood risks. Reauthorization of the AML program will provide billions of dollars to clean up abandoned mine sites. It's important in our state. Pennsylvania's got a lot of them too. We're fighting against climate change and we're cleaning up our environment. This legislation doesn't just invest in our infrastructure, but it will allow projects to move more quickly. Far too often, infrastructure projects are delayed because of the expensive and arduous environmental review and permitting process. An environmental impact statement under the NEPA Act for highway projects takes an average of 7 years. Think about how long that is and how much more money that costs. The highway bill unanimously approved by our EPW committee includes numerous project delivery provisions to provide a more efficient, predictable process. Notably, it codifies one federal decision. One federal decision for highway projects would establish a 2-year goal for completing environmental reviews. This isn't skirting the environmental process. This isn't running roughshod over it. This is putting a time clock on it. Let's move it. Require predictable schedules coordinated by agencies and requires a single environmental document with concurrent reviews, providing accountability and transparency. The EPW bill that we passed makes other common sense reforms, like allowing states to be reimbursed for early utility relocation necessary for a project while the process is ongoing. Additional provisions in the broader legislation will extend the Fast 41 permitting reforms that Senator Portman is very instrumental in to help us build other types of infrastructure more efficiently. The reforms and investments this bill makes aren't just for now, but for the next generation. We've had a very lengthy and robust debate on the Senate floor. I would like to thank Senators Portman and Sinema, Senator Collins, who's on the floor, Senator Portman, Senator Sinema, all of the group of 20. If I start naming them, I'm going to leave somebody out. But particularly Senators Portman and Sinema picked up the ball where I left it. You know, I'd like to think I got it to the 5-yard line. Maybe not so quite, but I got the ball rolling and I got it moving in the right direction. And then they did the tough sledding ahead, and I thank them for that. I would also like to thank my counterpart, Chairman Carper. He has been great in manage this bill on the floor, but also to keep the guardrails on that we established to make sure that the group, the bipartisan group, was following along what the committee had unanimously passed and how we felt would be the most effective way to invest in our infrastructures for the future. I would like to thank my entire EPW committee team, starting with my staff director, Adam, who's been with me for many, many years. What you don't know, and what I know, is that Adam was back in the back with Mary Frances, and they were the traffic cops through the whole amendment process. Working the committees, the different 5 committees, Republican, Democrat, leadership, all of the different individual members. So I'm going to give Adam 1 day off, and then I think he'll be right back at it. But I can't, he is really irreplaceable to our committee, but also to this whole process. And also in this chamber with us today, Lauren Baker and Murphy Barrett, and many, many hours of just incredible depth of knowledge in this area. We couldn't have done it without you. But I'm going to name the rest of my staff who's not here with us. Libby Calloway, Georgiana Clemens, who will be, I announced, to still not have her baby. I announced last time I mentioned her. She's still waiting. Marley Collier, Travis Cohn, Sarah Delavan, Will Dixon, Elizabeth Horner, Max Hyman, Tyler Jenkins, Jess Kramer, Jake Kennedy, Matt Loops, Kayla McMurray, Taylor Meredith, Jacob Mitchell, Kelly Moore, Catherine Smith, Travis Boyles, and Andy Zock for their tireless efforts that have helped advance our committee's infrastructure legislation. On my personal team, I'd like to thank my Chief of Staff, Joel Brubaker, and also J.T. Jazierski for their leadership. I really want to thank Senator Carper's EPW staff, especially Mary Frances Repko, who's on the floor with the senator today, but also Rebecca Higgins, John Kane, Greg Dotson, Laura Gillum, Jordan Baugh, Heather Dan, Mackie McIntosh, Annie D'Amata, Kenneth Martin, and Tyler Hoffman Raridan for their dedication to this process as well. I will say, under Mary Frances's leadership and Adam's leadership on my committee, I think they have demonstrated to many committees, and certainly to us as the chairman and ranking member, that you can have conversations, communications, and you can work things out. You can work things out if you just stick with it. So thank you both very, very much. It's time to bring this bill home and do the work the American people expect us to do, which is to find bipartisan, consensus-driven solutions to our nation's pressing challenges. And this is a pressing challenge. Again, I urge a vote yes on this historic bipartisan bill that will improve our core infrastructure. If we pass this important legislation, I hope that the House will move swiftly, and as a former member of the House, as we all are, the House can move swiftly when they need to, and get this bill to the President's desk quickly. Mr. President, I yield the floor.